Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all of our attendees joining us today for this latest Data Science Central webinar. This is Bill Vorhies, your host. I'm the Editorial Director with Data Science Central and also Chief Data Scientist for Data Magnum. So I'd like to start off our event today by thanking Tableau for sponsoring today's event. Tableau is a longtime supporter of the Data Science Central community, and we're honored to have them sponsoring our event today. Now, past webinars are available on demand at datasciencecentral.com, and if you haven't had the opportunity to view them, I encourage you to take a look. They provide very useful insight into a wide variety of topics of interest to our data science community. Now, today's webinar is entitled 4 Ways to Tackle Common Data Prep Issues, and that'll be presented by Tableau. Before we begin, I'd like to briefly review the format of today's event. So today's webinar will be an hour long. We have 2 presenters who I'll introduce in just a minute. There'll be 10 to 15 minutes of Q&A following the presentation, and this event is being recorded and will be available on datasciencecentral.com later this afternoon following today's live event. Now, I'd also like to encourage our attendees to provide questions throughout the presentation because we'll be reviewing and presenting them on your behalf during the Q&A portion of today's event. Well, I'm very pleased to introduce today's speakers, Louis Archer and Marina Lindl with Tableau. Now, Louis is a Tableau manager based in London. He's also the host of Tableau's Iron Viz Europe competition and a VizWiz champion himself. Now, Marina has been with Tableau for almost 4 years and recently joined the sales consultant team. She's passionate about visual analytics and helping customers get started with Tableau. So Louis, Marina, thanks for being with us today. We're looking forward to your presentation. Now, anyone who's ever analyzed data knows the pain of digging in only to find that it's poorly structured, full of inaccuracies, or just plain incomplete. But dirty data isn't just a pain point for analysts. It can have a major financial and cultural impact on an organization. So in today's latest Data Science Central webinar, you'll learn 4 actionable ways to overcome common data preparation issues, including how to establish a company standard for clean data and how to democratize data prep across your organization. So Louis, with that, I'm going to turn it over to you. You can begin as soon as you're ready to go.
Thank you very much indeed, Bill. Can you hear me now? I'm hoping you can hear me there, Bill. Perfect. Thank you very much. I just wanted to double check that. Jolly good. Thank you very much indeed for that lovely introduction, and thank you, of course, to the Data Science Central community for having us along as well. Thank you for joining myself and Marina. We're here to explore the topic of dirty data, how it's costing you time, money, and effort every single day, and hopefully we're going to give you some suggestions as to how you might go about solving this problem. So what we're going to cover today is why dirty data happens. We're going to cover 4 data prep issues and hopefully give you some ideas as to how to solve them. And then we're going to focus in on what is the impact there. We're also going to present you with our solution to that problem in Tableau Prep, and then we're going to answer a few questions for you as well. Of course, please type any questions you may have into the Q&A box. So let's start by looking at why dirty data happens. I've got 3 reasons for you to consider today. Firstly, human error. It's the most common cause of dirty data, according to a study done by Experian. Errors can pop up in a variety of ways, from variability in data entry practices to employees manually inputting values into spreadsheets. Even a simple spelling error could pose challenges down the line when someone goes in to analyze the data. Secondly, data is stored in disparate systems. Organizations often store data in several disparate systems that have different structures, requirements, aggregations, and permissions. When it's time to integrate this data, analysts are left with duplicate or missing fields or inconsistent labels. Data fields or values might also have the same meaning, but use different names or values across these different systems. And thirdly, requirements change. Businesses evolve. When data administrators and engineers need to make changes to the data, as it changes its granularity or deprecating fields if they're not being used, or even introducing new fields as and when they're needed, these changes are not always widely communicated across a business, and analysts may not even know about these changes until they bring the data into a self-service BI or data preparation tool. So we have 3 reasons as to why your data might be dirty in the first place. Let's take a look at some of the underlying issues and how we might go about fixing them. So let's start with issue number 1. Rigid and time-consuming processes don't keep up with demand. Beyond the frustration of messy data, both analysts and business users struggle to even access the data that they need. Traditionally, data preparation has lived within IT, and only certain teams have the ability to prepare and bring new data sources into a centralized data warehouse. Those who don't have this ability either conduct their own data preparation in programs like Excel, or they simply wait for another team to do it for them. So what might be a solution to this? Well, it's about developing agile processes with the right tools to support them. Many organizations are adopting self-service data preparation solutions for exploration and prototyping. Self-service data preparation tools put the power in the hands of the people who know the data best, democratizing the data prep process and reducing the burden on IT. As Venkatesh Shivana, he's a senior data analytics manager and architect at Electronic Arts, said, "The added value of a self-service data prep tool is that everyone can become a master of the data. Analysts can do the ad hoc data cleansing tasks themselves instead of waiting in a queue." So in summary, to democratize data, you must share the full data prep process. Every organization has specific needs, and there is no one-size-fits-all approach to data preparation. But when selecting a self-service data preparation tool, organizations should consider how the tool will evolve processes towards an iterative, agile approach instead of creating new barriers to entry. People will have a greater desire to prepare and understand their data if they can see the impact of the steps taken as part of their data prep process. Jason Harmer of Nationwide has this to say about visual data prep. Visual data prep allows people to see the full end-to-end process, seeing potential flags earlier on, like misspellings in the data, extra spaces, or simply incorrect join clauses. It also increases confidence in their final analysis. So that's issue number 1. Let's move on to issue number 2. Data preparation requires deep knowledge of organizational data. Before preparing data, it's crucial to understand its location, its structure and composition, along with granular details like field definitions. Some people refer to this process as data discovery, and it's truly a fundamental element of data preparation. You wouldn't start a long journey without a basic understanding of where you're going, and that same logic applies to data prep. The emergence of self-service BI and its drag-and-drop functionality has made data discovery easier for business users, providing them with a deeper knowledge of the existing structure and contents of their datasets. But because of information silos, these users often have less insight into the entire data landscape of their organization. What data exists? Where does it live? How is it defined? Confusion around data definitions, for example, can hinder analysis or worse, lead to inaccurate analyses across the company. For example, if someone wants to analyze customer data, they may find that a marketing team might have a different definition for the term customer than somebody in their finance team. So a solution to this is to create standardized data sources. Visual self-service data prep tools allow analysts to dig deeper into the data to understand its structure and see relationships between different tables. Because they can understand the profile of their data, analysts can easily spot unexpected values that need cleaning. Although this technology brings clarity to the data, people will still need support from others in their company to understand details like field definitions. One way to standardize data definitions across a company is to create standardized, certified data sources for people to use. This gives people confidence in their data and allows for added contextual information to be added to the data source in order to help people see and understand what their fields stand for. Brian Davis, a customer of ours at a large energy company, calls this type of work invaluable. Data stewards and subject matter experts need to commit to ongoing iteration, checking in as requirements change. If data sources are out of date, they can actually do more harm to your organization's data strategy. Communication and ownership should be built into the process from the very, very beginning to determine how the data sources are defined, how often they should be updated and refined. I've given you a couple of issues and hopefully proposed a couple of solutions there. With that, I'm going to hand over to Marina, who's going to take us through a couple more of our issues today.
Thank you very much, Louis. So the next challenge I would like to talk about is clean data is a matter of perspective. Louis has been just talking about curated data sources. What is the right data? What's the wrong data? Who should certify it? And what does the government process actually look like? The answer is pretty much it depends who's asking. I'm sure you already know that, and that's something that you come up with in your own teams. Different teams have different requirements and preferences regarding what makes for well-structured data. Let me give you an example. Database administrators and data engineers prioritize how the data is stored and accessed, and columns may be added that are strictly for databases to use, not people. So when an engineer builds a data warehouse specifically for analysis, they prioritize the core business metrics that answer the majority of questions. If the information that data analysts need isn't already in the data set, they may need to adjust aggregations or bring in an outside source. So this can lead to silos or inaccuracies in data. And I'm sure that's something that you experience on a daily basis. So what's the solution? Put the power in the hands of the experts. As you can see from this picture, it really depends, or as I said earlier, it's a matter of perspective. Both of those individuals looking at the same number. However, the person on the left sees a 9 and the person on the right sees a 6. So you need to give them a tool that allows them to analyze the data from their perspective. Because self-service data prep gives analysts the power to polish data sets in a way that matches their analysis. It's leading to faster ad hoc analysis, and it allows them to answer questions as they appear. As you can imagine, that also reduces the burden on IT to restructure the data whenever an anticipated question arises. And I've just been talking to a customer today. They just finished their data warehouse, and then they need something new, or the analyst needs a new setup. So he wants to do this on his own and not going backwards, forwards. But not only this point, this can also reduce the amount of duplicated efforts, because other analysis or business users can reuse these models. If the data sets are valuable on a wide scale, you can combine them into a canonical set in the future. So that is challenge number 2. Oh, that was issue number 3. Sorry about that. And now we're going to look at issue number 4. I already touched on this, the hidden reality of data prep silos. So advanced data prep tools can be complex, which means this capability is often restricted to a selected number of power users. But even if analysts and business users don't have access to data prep tools, it doesn't mean that they are not already performing these tasks in other applications. As one of our customers, Jason Harmer, who is in charge of IT process management at Nationwide, puts it, even people who might know the term data prep are still preparing data in programs like Excel. The more silos we have, the more interpretations of the data we have, and that drives a distrust in the data. Jason Harmer instead recommends or also sees that you have to wait days or months for the data from IT and BI stakeholders. So users often extract data from systems and prepare the data in spreadsheets. The result is a newly structured data set that serves a singular purpose, and departments often duplicate efforts without knowing it. So this process leads to an abundance of data silos, which aren't efficient, scalable, or governed. So what can be a solution here? Combating silos starts with collaborations. Survey research from the Business Application Research Center, BARC, showed that the companies that were most satisfied with the data prep processes were the ones that made data preparation a shared task between IT and the business departments. So adopting self-service data prep across an organization requires users to learn the ins and outs of data. Since this knowledge was historically reserved for IT and data engineering roles, it is crucial that analysts take time to learn about nuances within the data, including the granularity and any transformations that have been done to the data set. Scheduling regular check-ins or a standardized workflow for question allows engineers to share the most up-to-date way to query and work with valid data, while empowering analysts to prepare data faster and with greater confidence, and that's really what you want. So with that, we talked you through the different challenges that come across, or that you can come across when you prepare or when you work with dirty data. So what is actually the cost of dirty data, and why is it so important that you look at this? Gartner measures the average financial impact of poor data on businesses at 9.7 million per year. That's a lot of money. These costs, however, are not only financial. Businesses can see a loss of reputation, missed opportunities, and higher risk decisions making as a result of low confidence in data, which is not ideal at all. So it should be in every business interest to invest in clean data. One of our customers, Gordon Strudel from Solomon, has sat down and actually calculated how much dirty data can cost you. So let's have a look at this example. We have 500 data points that take on an average 5 minutes to resolve. If you are applying a standard rate to it, we get the monthly and annual costs, which is quite a lot if you look at this example. And then let's look at ratio good-bad data. What are the good records versus the bad records, which you can see in the illustration on the right-hand side. If a good record costs you $1 and a bad record costs you $10, you can see that you're spending a third of your money on cleaning dirty data. So you might ask why I'm giving you this example. Because internally, you will need to have to justify why you want to invest in clean data and in tools that help you with this. And this is a great way to structure a business value justification for why to have clean data. So what might this look like in reality? We'd like to show you our approach to tackling the problem and the costs associated with dirty data. For that, I'm going to demonstrate Tableau Prep, which has been developed as a part of the Tableau platform to help you out with these issues. Tableau Prep enables more people to get their analysis faster by helping them quickly and confidently combine, shape, and clean their data. It gives a direct and visual experience to customers and a deeper understanding of their data. So smart features make data prep simple and hopefully fun. And integration with the Tableau analytical workflow allows for faster speed to insight. And with this, I'm going to show you now live how this is going to look like. If you are already using Tableau and you're familiar with it, then you will have an idea, or you will already be familiar with the interface that I'm going to share with you in a moment. For this scenario, imagine the following scenario. We are a retailer called Superstore, and we recently acquired a new store in the Netherlands called Max Supply. So as you can imagine, I have different data sources coming from different systems, and they might be structured in a different way. However, what I have been tasked with as an analyst is to look at it and to get information out of it. So for that, I'm going to check what is actually happening with our data. As you can see, here we have the connections pane, and you find a wide variety to sources that you can connect to. In our case, I have everything, for right now, I'm going to look at the newly acquired store, and this is in a text file. So let me grab that. Fantastic. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to show you how we can combine and first of all clean this data source. What I'm going to do is add a step, and this will give me an overview of my data. So I can see the makeup or the DNA of my data here. I can see that the newly acquired store is usually selling between 2 and 4 units. And if we go more to the right-hand side, we find more information about our data. So I'm interested here now, for example, in which city are we selling the most? And I can quickly sort this and find out that the most, or we're selling the most, or we are the most successful in Amsterdam, which is fantastic. This gives me my first insight. Then if we scroll and check our data pane, and we can see that some numbers seem to be odd. So if we look at the sales, it's minus 10,000. It doesn't really make sense to have negative sales. So I'm going to click on this, and it shows me all the rows, or you can see highlighted all the rows that are associated with this minus 10,000. And let me just quickly check what is actually happening here. When we check our product ID, we can see it has an odd number. It doesn't really make sense compared to the others. And we also do not have a customer name compared to it. So I'm not really happy with this. I don't want to have this in my data. So I'm going to quickly exclude this, if it lets me. Here we go. So when I share this now with someone else, as you can see, it shows on the left-hand side in this pane what kind of changes I made and what I've actually excluded. Fantastic. So while we are looking at the ship mode, you can see that we have first class and first, and then we have the same for second and second class, and here for standard as well. That's not ideal. So I want to have this grouped because that's the only way it makes sense. And this is what I'm going to do with group and replace. And let's use my pronunciation. So Tableau Prep uses fuzzy clustering, which is helping me here to sort this. I'm happy with that. And the rest looks good to go. So now in a second step, I would like to bring in the data from my original Superstore, which is actually stored in an Excel file. Let's grab that quickly. And I can bring in my orders table. So from investigating the data from the newly acquired store, I can see that they have roughly the same structure. So I would like to combine the data with a union. So I drag and drop this on here. And the color indicates me which data source and contributes what to my data source, or to my output here. So I'm not sure about you, but sometimes I find it a bit hard when I do unions or joins, like what is the actual output and what's happening. So what we can easily do here, and while we stay in our flow, is let's look at the mismatch fields only. So those are the columns that we didn't, or we couldn't place it. So we have the unit sold, company, and quantity. So quantity and unit sold, that's pretty much the same. So let's drag and drop that on top of each other and merge it. Fantastic. So I could already get rid of this. Then company, this indicates me what is coming from SupplyMax, and the null is indicating what is coming from the Superstore. I'm fine with that for the moment. After union this data, I now would like to bring in a second data source, my product master list, where I have information about my different products that have been sold. So let's go here and bring that in. Here we go. And in that case, we are going to do a join, which is also just a matter of dragging and dropping. So you can see that this pane automatically opened, and we can see what our join key is, product ID, which is fantastic. That's what we need. And here's where I could manipulate my join and decide if I want to go for left or right or inner join. I'm happy with an inner join. And here at the bottom, this graph shows me what kind of data got excluded and what happened to my join results. So we have over 50 union data set. And if we look at the join results, it's fantastic because our data didn't get multiplied by not having the right join key. So this is a really visual way to do this. And to be honest, from my side, I have always been struggling, and I had to do some analysis. Have I multiplied the data? Is my join okay? So this is really useful. However, what we have here is we can see that we have 10 rows excluded from our data sources from the Superstore and the newly acquired store. So let's click on that, and let's check what this is. Okay, so let's quickly check that, and we can see that the product idea here looks a bit off. It doesn't seem to be right. So let's edit a value. And obviously, as we also mentioned in the presentation before, you need to familiarize yourself with your data so you will be able to do those steps. Great. So now that I easily cleaned my data, union it, and then joined the data, let's produce another step so we can have a look. And one thing that I haven't mentioned before, here at the bottom, you always see the data grid. So it allows you to see, what is every row of your data made of. So now if I would like to share this with other people, I'm going to create an output. And there are different ways how you can do this, or what you can produce. You can produce a hyper file or a TDE file. That would be a Tableau extract. So when we then go ahead and analyze our data, it would query this. Or you can also extract it to a CSV. However, what I'm going to do is publish this as a data source to Tableau server. If you're not familiar with Tableau server, that's not a problem. I will show you in a moment. This is our sharing tool where you can share your workbooks, your analysis, or like we're doing here right now, your flows or your certified analysis. So this is what I'm going to do. And let's call it output 2. And we can run our flow. This will probably pop up in a second window, so give me one moment to bring this over. So I'm here in a web browser and I'm signing in to Tableau server. And you can see this is the output that we just created earlier. So what I can do now here is create a new workbook and get started with my analysis. While Tableau Prep has already given us a very good overview of the makeup of our data, that we're selling a lot of in Amsterdam, here is now where the real analysis happens. So let's bring in our sale, and the table names indicate where this is coming from. And we could see how much is our newly acquired store contributing to our percent of total, which is 31.34%, which is quite good. So with that, I hope we gave you a great overview how this can look like in reality. Let me just quickly go back to our presentation. And with that, I hand over to Louis.
Thank you very much indeed, Marina, for that wonderful demo. To recap for everybody, Tableau Prep gives you a deeper understanding of your data in order to confidently prepare it for analysis. 3 coordinated views provide you with a complete picture of your data and your flow. You have the flexibility to pick which view to interact with based on the current task at hand. And as Marina showed, if you want to edit a value, you select directly edit it. With each action, like this, you instantly see the result, even on millions and millions of rows of data. We saw how Tableau Prep has customized visual experiences to make common yet complex tasks such as joins, unions, pivots, and aggregations really quite simple. To drag and drop experience, you saw there's no scripting required. These intuitive experiences help you get to your desired results faster and with greater confidence. You're interacting with and you're getting to know your data as you prepare it. We also saw smart features that help make data prep fast and simple. Think about some of those repetitive tasks that you might take care of in Excel. Tableau Prep uses smart algorithms to fix some of these common data prep challenges. Marina showed Tableau Prep's fuzzy clustering algorithm, which turns repetitive tasks like grouping by pronunciation or cleaning based on punctuation into simple one-click operations. And of course, we saw how Tableau Prep is integrated with the rest of the Tableau platform. Marina shared her output and for myself and others like me to access via Tableau Server. This type of easy sharing reduces friction and helps you bridge the gap between analytics and data preparation for better business results. If you'd like to find out more, it's quite simple. Do just head to tableau.com/prep and download a free trial today. And with that, I'd like to say thank you very much indeed for listening. I would love to remind you that if you want to find out more about Tableau Prep, you can join us at the Tableau conference in New Orleans at the end of October. We'd love to take some questions from you all. I know there's some in the chat. Maybe Bill will hand back over to you, and I'll put myself on mute again. Thank you very much.
Well, Louis, don't go on mute too soon here, because these are questions that are going to come to you. But Louis and Marina, hey, thank you for that excellent presentation. So we'll get started with today's Q&A session, and I want to thank the audience for their participation. We've had a great many questions that have come in, and we'll do our best to get through all of them in the time remaining. So during this Q&A session, I'll leave up this screen for Louis and Marina if you'd like to contact them following today's webinar. So let's get started. Louis, Marina, for exactly what audience was Tableau Prep built? Is this for IT or line of business or analyst or data scientist, or who did you expect to be the common user of this?
Well, I'll take that one if you don't mind first, Marina. What do you think?
Yeah, sure, go for it.
Perfect. So Prep's designed for people that need to do data prep, that are typically doing their work in Excel because they simply have no alternative to that. Prep's designed to make the process of data preparation accessible to all people within an organization. Now, we know there are other tools on the market, some of whom we actually partner with, and that's great. Prep is not aimed at taking away from those kind of tools. Prep is aimed at those people who simply don't have a way of doing data preparation other than in a very, very manual, time-intensive, labor-intensive way that doesn't add value to their broader organization because it's also unshareable at the end of it. So Prep is really designed for those users that currently have no way of doing this at scale or in a larger organization. So I hope that helps on that one. Marina, would you add anything?
Yeah, I think that explains it very well. The vision and the mission of Tableau Prep is, like it has always been with Tableau, we want to make it really easy for you to understand the data. So it's a visual approach, and I hope the demonstration showed how easy it is to stay in the flow, so you don't have to think about what you're doing. You can just go ahead and get results.
Well, thanks for that clarification. Now, let's suppose that I am an analyst or a line of business manager, and I have conducted this data cleaning in order to produce a certain type of analysis. Will that data prep flow be automatically applied to all new incoming data? Will it automatically update my new input?
Mm-hmm. That's a very good question. So at the moment, if you would like to automatically update it to Tableau Server where you shared, you can do this with tab command, and it is on our roadmap that this will be that you can refresh it just from Tableau Server automatically in the future. So for now, tab command, and then in the future on Tableau Server with a button.
Well, thank you. And can I share these data prep flows with other folks that might have the same goal with the same data?
Mm-hmm. You definitely can. Like, you cannot just save a data source as I have done. You can also save a flow and then share this flow with others. You just send it around as the file.
Okay. Now, this is obviously a new product for Tableau. If a person is an existing customer of Tableau, how can they access Tableau Prep?
I'll jump in there, Marina, if that's all right. For anyone who's an existing customer of Tableau, Prep is a new product. We launched it just at the end of April, so it's we put it out to the market, and we're excited to see what our customers are doing with it. We actually made Tableau Prep available to anybody who had an existing Tableau desktop license. So essentially, you have a license key that you're able to use, which is good from 2 years from the end of April. So you've got till sometime in 2020 to use Prep if you're a customer of Tableau. And then for anybody who's recently got involved and has started working with the Tableau platform, for those of you who are have purchased a creator license of Tableau, that comes with Tableau Prep, Tableau Desktop, and a seat on Tableau Server. So the whole package, the creator package, includes Prep and kind of gives our analysts that are out there that really valuable offering of the entire Tableau platform together.
Oh, thanks for that clarification. Now, in terms of the steps that are conducted within Tableau Prep, do I have the ability to customize them? Can I, for example, deploy my own R code in there somehow?
The R code, this is something that you would then do in Tableau Desktop. That's one part of the platform that I have not shown yet, but usually would you use it for your further analysis. So that wouldn't be in Prep, that would be in Tableau Desktop.
Okay, thanks. Now, the audience is asking a question that I think you must get all the time, and it relates to governance. And the question is this really preventing dirty data or just curing dirty data? So you might want to touch on the issue of governance and data dictionaries and that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to take that if you don't mind, Louis.
All yours, Marina, all yours.
Fantastic. So yes, standards and governance is the most important thing. And well, it depends on how you set it up. And this is where Tableau Server comes in. You can set up your projects, and then publish your data sources and your flow in there. So you can have a certified project where not everyone can publish their data sources or share their stuff in. It will be monitored by someone who is, who knows what he's doing and what he's looking at. And for everything else, where people, playing around might be a bit harsh, but where people would like to do some just ad hoc stuff, they can publish it into a different project. Sounds a bit theoretical, but I mean, you can manage it that not everything can be accessed by anyone. I hope that makes sense.
Oh, right. It certainly does. Now, obviously, I would imagine that when you all introduced this product, you saw it as cleaning up the input into the Tableau visualization platform. But the question comes from the audience, well, can I use Tableau Prep with other platforms? For example, can I plug it into Salesforce? What data sources can I use, and what can I use the output for?
Mm-hmm. That's a good question. Like, if you need it for a different platform, you have the option to create a CSV output. Then when you would like to use it with Tableau Salesforce, you could use Tableau Server to embed your vises or your analytics into Tableau Salesforce. But if you just want to use it as a standalone part, Tableau Prep, then you would need to produce a CSV.
Okay, and the audience is drilling down on this a little bit. Just if they are just performing the data prep function and they want to express some information about the data that they've been cleaning, you had some nice visuals, some nice graphics in there. Is it possible to export those graphics into a report?
I'm not quite sure on the question, but as far as I understand, yeah, Louis?
Oh, yeah, so I think I do understand the question. You know what? That is a very interesting point, Bill. I don't think we currently do that, but I'm going to take that away as some feedback and get that over to our prep team and say that the audience today has said, would that be possible? Because I think that is a truly interesting potential use case for some of the visuals that sit within prep. Within the various panes there. So I'll take that away and feed that into our development team and see what they say. Like I said, please do email me if you would like. My details are just there, and I'll make sure I link that question in with the right people.
Well, good. And, on that same topic, as a new product, presumably you are soliciting user input. Is there a particular way that users should get their suggestions to you?
So currently we are, yeah, you're absolutely right. So we are soliciting feedback from different users that are out there. It's very simple to just contact. Typically, you just contact through your account team at Tableau, and that information will make its way through to our development team. I think it's really important to note as well with Prep as a new product, we are iterating and releasing much in a different way. We're actually releasing once a month with Tableau Prep, so new features kind of once they're baked in are released and ready and out there for you all to use. So please don't hesitate to kind of, once you try, do stay up to date with Prep because it's moving along very, very fast in terms of features and functions being added. But like I say, if you do have particular feedback, you have my email here, or feel free to just speak to your account teams and they can put you in touch with the right product managers for the Prep team.
Well, thanks for that answer. The audience is wondering, is Tableau Prep available for the online cloud version that you make available for individuals?
So currently that's not the case. Prep is a client that you download and you install. That said, as I'm sure people who are familiar with the Tableau platform have seen, the parity between our web authoring and our web experience and our desktop experience has been getting closer and closer to the point that you have the majority of functionality now of desktop within a browser. That's very much on the roadmap for Prep as well. We understand that people are moving to the cloud, people want to be in browser doing their analytics, but we also want to make sure that we give people the choice. So the likelihood of a desktop client going away isn't something that I would predict, but an equally powerful client within a browser is something that's on the roadmap.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks for that answer. Now, and by the way, We talked a little bit earlier about how these flows could be applied to new incoming data. And the question from the audience is, can those updates be scheduled?
At the moment, that would still be happening with tab command. But then it's in our roadmap that you will have this, that you will have the possibilities to schedule this with the help of Tableau Server.
Okay, terrific. Well, Louis, Marina, hey, thank you. Great answers to some very good questions. And for those of you that asked questions today that weren't answered, we'll be sending all the unanswered questions to Louis and Marina and the Tableau team so they can follow up with you after today's webinar. I have just a few quick announcements. If you'd please mark your calendar for September 22nd, that's tomorrow. And that's our next DSC webinar, which will be the essentials of training data for machine learning. Also, remember that today's taping will be available for on-demand viewing later today, and you can find that on the home page of Data Science Central in the Webinar tab located at the top of the page. Well, this brings today's webinar to a close. I'd like to thank our audience for their attendance and thoughtful questions. A special thanks to Tableau for their sponsorship, and particularly our speakers today, Louis Archer and Marina Lindl, for their insight into today's topic. So this is Bill Vorhies. I'm very pleased to have been your host for today's event. I look forward to seeing you all again on September 26th, tomorrow. Have a great day.